Don't drink and drive.
That's right. Don't drink and drive. Good morning, good morning, good morning, one and all. Welcome to 246 BelgianVibesRadio.com. My name is Sugar D, and I am joined this morning for the final one for 2022 with Mr. Fred Corbin and Mr. Nico Mills. No sign of Dr. Tull yet, but we will kick off. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Sugar. How are you?
Not too bad. And how was
Good
your
morning,
week?
Sugar D.
Good morning, Nico. How was the guy's week?
I had a hectic week,
Wow.
but I'm here.
All right, nice. Well, it's that time of the year, so everything will be hectic. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you all kick off. You all kick off because I know Nico got a lot to speak about, and I did play the video this morning, 21 minutes long, about the British MP who just split open the atoms out there for the people out there. So with no further ado, no hesitation, let's get going on the final one for 2022. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Nico.
Okay. I'm going to send you a video. I want to
You want it?
start off with CBDCs because they are rolling out as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to talk about it since 2 weeks back, but then I wasn't able to come last week, and the week before we spoke about something else. But they rolled out in 11 countries, like fully launched. We have our own CBDC here,
Mm-hmm.
the jam. So a lot of people may think that when we're saying stuff, it's not happening as we speak. Now, the video that I'm sending you, the video will you will hear Boli, and he is the deputy managing director of the IMF and the former deputy governor of the People's Bank of China. And you will hear him talk about the programmability of central bank digital currency. So the people who are trying to bring in this new form of currency are telling you that, hey, we will be able to program it. So when I'm speaking about CBDC and the programmability and what they will be able to do and so on, it's not really, like this is my idea of what this new currency will do. It's what they are telling us that they are intending to use the money for.
CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program, to create smart contract, to allow targeted policy functions. For example, welfare payment. For example, consumption coupon. For example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized. For example, for food. So this potential programmability can help government agencies to precisely target their support to those people who need support. So that way can also improve financial inclusion.
Wow.
I've spoken about CBDCs before, where I mentioned my book, Everything That You Need to Know About Central Bank Digital Currency, where I went into the history of money and how government will soon make substantial changes to how money works. So what we need to know is that with CBDCs, you will not, the government will have full control over how you spend your money, what you spend your money on, what you can do with your money, and maybe when, where, and how you can spend your money. And that is the scary truth. So right now, what they're trying to do is to get rid of cash and replace it with CBDCs. Now, they will tell you that CBDC is just like cash. I'm sure you have seen that video with the now Prime Minister of the UK. That's the title, right? Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, where he was saying that, CBDC is just like cash, just like the cash that you have in the bank. And that was a lie. And these people, make no mistake, they're not afraid to come on the television and look directly in that screen and lie to you. They don't care. They just want to get you to go along with whatever they say, because when you go along, once the system is implemented, there's nothing that you can do about it. So they want you to buy into the system that they're trying to implement. So obviously they're going to lie to your face. And once that system is implemented, then it's going to take a struggle to kind of dismantle it or to change it or to make it more conducive to what we want it to be. So not only does your government want to get rid of cash, it also wants to get rid of money itself. And this is what people need to understand. The government wants to get rid of money, period. Now, let us talk about how money works today. And so that way you can understand the changes that will happen or that they're proposing, right? So I'm going to use Fred as an example. And hopefully everyone who is listening will be able to follow what I'm saying. So let's say that Fred wants to buy a new laptop from Atlantic Computers, right? So he goes to the computer store, picks up the laptop he wants, and he pays $20,000 for it with his debit card. You might think that Fred's $20,000 goes straight from his bank account to Atlantic Computers' bank account, but it does not work like that. So in reality, Fred's bank account will owe Atlantic Computers' bank account $20,000, and Fred's account will show that the money has already left his account because they don't want Fred to spend the $20,000 again that he doesn't have. The money does not change hands at the time of purchase. Fred's $20,000 purchase is just one of the millions of transactions that happen in Barbados every day. So when Fred checks his bank account, he will see that the $20,000 is no longer there. But the money only moves between banks once a day. Every 24 hours, all of the payments made to and from each of the 30 banks in Barbados, I think there are 30 banks there, are added up to figure out how much each bank owes the other. So the Central Bank of Barbados, which is linked to all the other banks in the how much money each bank owes and how much it is owed for that day, then all the other banks send and receive money through the Central Bank of Barbados. So the Central Bank of Barbados has no idea who Fred is or why he spent $20,000 on a laptop. Fred's money is only a small part of a very large transfer of money. This means that only Fred's own bank can find out what Fred does with his money. And Fred's bank won't know what the money was used for, only where it was spent. So the Central Bank of Barbados cannot see what Fred spent his money on or when he spends it, and Fred's bank is not allowed to tell anyone about his spending habits. This means that Fred can spend his money in a way that does not give away his identity or his privacy. This in turn means that a government or central authority like the Central Bank of Barbados cannot directly stop Fred now from using his debit card because it cannot see what Fred is doing with his money. If Fred had bought the laptop with $20,000 in cash, no one would know anything about it. No one, not even Fred's bank, would know what he bought or where he spent the money. This means that cash transactions are really private. So it goes without saying that cash is king. Cash is the most important thing in the economy. transactions made with debit cards do offer a high degree of privacy because your bank is the only institution that is aware of these transactions. So let's talk about this new CBDC system because I'm pretty sure Barbados probably has its own CBDC too. It's just that it's not fully launched. Jamaica has its own CBDC, the Jamdex. It's just that it is not yet fully launched. But these digital currencies are already in, I think, 109 countries worldwide. They're just not fully rolled out yet. So, people need to understand and know what these central bank digital currencies are and what your government will be able to do with them. So let's talk about what CBDC is, right? So CBDC is a central government created digital liability that only exists in the online space and functions as a legal tender in place of money. Now, this is my own definition. CBDC is a central government-created digital liability that only exists in the online space and functions as a legal tender in the place of money. Don't let anybody tell you that it is just like cash. It is not. Cash, you can physically go to the bank and say, give me my money. You cannot physically go to the bank and say, give me my CBDC. That will never happen because it does not exist in the physical world. It only exists online. So it cannot be said that CBDC is like cash. Don't let these people lie to you. So each citizen must have a digital wallet because if you're going to use if it only exists online, it simply means that now you must have something in the online space that can store your CBDC to identify, okay, this amount of CBDC belongs to Fred or Nico or Sugar Daddy, right? So you need a digital wallet to store your CBDC. But how does that work? Okay, so let's say that Fred decides to go to Roxy's supermarket again to buy Christmas groceries, right? We're in December, so Christmas time right around the corner. His mobile phone, he would have to download a smart wallet or app on his phone or something, some app on his phone that will store his CBDCs, right? And he will now use that app as his digital wallet to pay for his groceries. And this, will take less than a second for the app to transfer the funds from his digital wallet to Roxy's supermarket digital wallet, because there is a direct communication now with the Central Bank of Barbados and the bank for Roxy supermarket, right? Now here, the exchange of money happens immediately with the purchase. So as you tap your phone or scan the barcode from the app or whatever, as you do that, the CBDC will transfer from Fred's account immediately into Roxy supermarket account. Now, these transactions are validated by a computer system on a distributed ledger called a blockchain. You may have heard of blockchain. Now, a blockchain is a special kind of computer program that records information very accurately. And once the information is recorded, then you cannot edit it in any way. So every purchase made by the public using their digital wallet is processed instantly by a centralized computer system that runs 24/7 and can handle hundreds of transactions per second. Now, this might sound great because it is much faster, it is more convenient, and perhaps it's a whole lot easier to use than the old system, but there's one big difference. all the transactions are now handled in one place in real time as they happen. In other words, one system will be able to track every digital transaction that happens in the economy as it happens. And this is the most important difference that everyone needs to know about the new digital money system, or I think they now call it digital gulag, right? So there is one single hub for all transactions, and they are recorded instantly. This is specifically why the system. This is what the system will be designed to do specifically, because they are trying to change the global landscape as far as economic activity is concerned, and you're trying to bring in this new financial system that will impact poor people, especially because most of us engage in cash in whatever livelihoods that we have to take care of our families. I talk about the man on the street selling cigarettes or Rizla or coconut or I don't know. You engage in cash. Now, when they come in with the CBDC and phase out cash, they're phasing you out too. Because people will not be able to use it. Well, you won't have a digital wallet anyway. And people will not be able to pay you because there is no cash. And then, they're going to say, well, you have to be a registered business in order to engage in commerce. So this is directly going to affect you. Now, let me get back to the explanation that I was giving about this digital system of tyranny that they're trying to develop. So we're talking about Fred and, Fred buying a computer and how with CBDCs, the transaction will happen simultaneously. So right as you make that purchase, the Central Bank of Barbados will know that Fred bought a computer at Roxy Supermarket, bought groceries at Roxy Supermarket for however amount of money he paid for it. They will know the moment you initiate that transaction. And they use AI-powered blockchain algorithms to block specific, or they can use AI blockchain algorithms to block specific public transactions at any time and for any reason. So what would this mean for Fred? Let's say there was another lockdown, right? Which is not far off in the future anyway, because these tyrants are still pushing this COVID nonsense. So if the government of Barbados wants to stop people from moving around the country because, I don't know, there is a deadly strain of COVID, right? With this new system, they could simply make a change to Fred's digital wallet so it would only work if he was near to his house. Suppose that the supermarket is 50 miles from Fred's house, right? And he decides, to hell with the government and their lockdown. I'm going to do my holiday shopping in Bridgetown instead of, closer to where I live. So maybe the supermarket is in an era where, that supermarket has more variety than the supermarket that is close to where Fred lives. So he decides, well, I'm going to go out of town to do my shopping because it's Christmas and there are things that I need, to have my little Christmas cheer and so on. So he goes shopping, and when he gets to the cashier, he has to now use this app on his phone, which is digital wallet, to make the payment for his item. So what will happen is that the app will instantly send the information directly to the computer system at the Central Bank of Barbados. And the system will now recognize that, hold on, Fred is 50 miles away from his house. And the government has placed a restriction on movement. So it will now block Fred from using his digital wallet to make the purchase for the items that he has bought or is intending to buy for that matter. Because the government would have only allowed his wallet to work within a specific radius, or let's say 5 miles, within 5 miles of where his home is physically located, right? So in essence now, Fred money is worthless to him. It doesn't have any use. Now, you might be wondering, well, he wants to go wherever he pleases, why does he not just pay cash? And that's what we're saying. If people are still allowed to use cash, then the system of digital tyranny that they're trying to force on us will not work as well as they intended to be. I mean, there's no stopping it because they already rolled it out anyway. Because I mean, I don't think anyone listening right now is even aware that, hey, well, we already have CBDCs. So, because they have rolled them out. It's just that they have not been fully introduced. And it's going to be a gradual thing where sooner or later you'll see, oh, we don't accept cash here, you have to pay with whatever. That's what they're going to start doing. And little by little, and by the time you recognize what is like, okay, where did cash go? You weren't paying attention. No, cash is gone and they have you. So how are they going to introduce this system to us so that we are now fully aware that, oh well, CBDCs are here and they're here to stay, and there's really nothing that you can do about it. If they succeed in implementing this new financial system, then everything that we know in terms of how we pay for stuff, we have to throw that out the window, right? You may have wondered, because they did all this lockdown back in 2020 and 2021. Oh, you have to lock down to slow the spread, and then we realized that, but the lockdown and this virus still walk up and down and wreak havoc. So clearly the lockdown didn't work, or did they? The lockdowns weren't intended to stop the spread of anything. They were intended to collapse the current financial system. That's what they were intended to do. But people were just so, wrapped up in their fear and fear of dying, fear of getting the virus, fear of, killing granny, that they didn't even recognize that this lockdown doesn't make any sense, because in spite of the lockdown, we're still in the middle of this pandemic raging and killing people, according to them anyway. Right? So, when you have this system rules out now, let's say the government is, well, we are speeding towards a recession right now because, of the lockdowns and these governments around the world that were just printing money like it was going out of fashion. So clearly there's a recession looming, and inflation has already gone through the roof, right? So the government says, okay, well, inflation is getting out of control, right? Now, remember, they are the ones that were printing trillions of dollars during the pandemic, right? And that was to create this kind of hyperinflation to collapse the global economy, just so that they can come in with this central bank digital currency system to make it appealing to you, right? So what they're going to do now, they're going to try everything in their power to kind of phase out cash or freeze cash or make it very inconvenient for you to use cash. Maybe they'll come up with an excuse like, well, we're trying to keep the banking system from collapsing because there's this hyperinflation and everybody's going to the bank to draw out their money. This is what we call a bank run. So if you hear somebody say, bank run in the financial space, it simply means that you'll have a lot of people going to the bank at the, simultaneously say, hey, give me my money. That's what we call a bank run. Right, so the government will probably tell you that, well, we are trying to prevent the banks from failing, and we're trying to prevent financial institutions from going bankrupt. So we have developed this new digital system that will, help the economy to recover from a recession. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but this is the likely route that they will go, because we know there is we're seeing it at the supermarket right now. The prices of goods and services have gone up. So inflation is on the rise. And so a recession is inevitable. We're going to be in a recession, if not a depression. And they're the ones create the problem in the first place by locking us down here. So they're going to come and say, oh, well, we have this solution. These central bank digital currencies will save us, and we're going to use them now to bail out the banks and the corporations that are at the brink of failing or going bankrupt, and people may lose their money and what have you, because the bank is going to freeze your money. You're going to hear that, well, the stocks that you own, them drop to zero, now you don't have no money and all of that. So the central banks now the central bank digital currency now will be this saving grace. So, download this app and get your digital wallet, and you can now transfer your money, which is frozen by the bank, because obviously we don't want, the bank is saying, oh, we're experiencing a bank run where people are just coming to take your money and we're going to collapse. So the bank freezes your money and say, hey, Fred, you can't get your money because there's a freeze, right? The government will say, okay, well, the bank froze your money. If you download this app, get a digital wallet, you can transfer your money that you have in your bank to your digital wallet. So obviously you'll have to convert it now to CBDC, right? And you can do that so to incentivize you now. So not only, there's the incentive of, well, I need access to my money and the bank froze it. And the government is telling me, well, if you transfer it to this digital wallet, you can now have access to your money to spend it. But, as a bonus, we're offering it at a premium rate, right? So you download the app, you transfer the money from you transfer the money to the wallet and convert it to CBDC, and we'll throw in a bonus. So for each dollar that you convert to one CBDC, we will have a conversion rate of 1-to-1, and we will offer a premium of 1. Right. So let's say Fred has $100,000 in his bank account. What does that mean when you're doing the transfer? So after installing the government app, he can move all of his $100,000 to his new digital wallet, and he would now have $200,000 in CBDC tokens, since the government converted his cash to CBDC at a rate of 1-to-1, and then offered him a bonus of 1 CBDC for every dollar transferred. So that is why he would now have 200,000 CBDC tokens to spend, right? Now, obviously, that is a good deal. Like, a lot of people now are going to be fooled into thinking, well, if I can double my money by transferring what I have in the bank that has frozen my account anyway to this new digital wallet that the government is asking me to download, and they're just going to give me, a bonus of 100% on the money that I had in the bank, then that's a good deal. Easy peasy. Business as usual. Now, once this new system has been adopted by the general public, as them done bamboos to people into getting these digital wallets and transferring all their money into from the failing banks to the government, because that's what you're doing. It's going to the Central Bank of Barbados. That's what it's going. It's going to the Bank of Jamaica or the Bank of England or the Federal Reserve. That's where it's going. It's not going to your local bank that you had your money at. You're transferring it from the local bank to the government. Well, not the government, because the government generally don't own the central bank anyway, but to the government in theory, right? And okay, fine. The government now has your money in the central bank. What is going to happen? Okay, so we know about this climate change foolishness, right? So they're gonna, let's say, the government thinks that, well, climate change is an issue. Well, they do believe that anyway, and we have to do our part to stop climate change, and we need to use less fossil fuel, right? So the government now decides that, well, we're going to put a limit on how much gasoline and diesel everyone in Barbados can use. And they can do this with, because you heard Boli saying, oh, well, CBDCs are programmable and we can program it to determine what people can buy and so on, like food, whatever, right? So imagine that the government of Barbados now decide that each digital wallet can only buy up to 15 liters of gas per week. Right? This is just a random amount for explanation's sake, right? So if the government decides that your wallet now won't be able to make any purchases after you have purchased for the week. And let's say they decide that, well, people are getting too fat, so there's a problem with obesity, and so we're going to have to limit purchases on sugary foods, right? So they say, well, you can buy, I don't know, biscuits and crackers or whatever. For more, you can't spend more than $50 on these sugary food items for the month. Then the government can definitely program this CB. Remember, you transfer all your money from the bank that was failing to the government by way of the Central Bank of Barbados. So the central bank now has your money in the form of digital CBDC tokens that it can now program to say, well, Freddie, you can't buy more than 15 liters of gas per week, or you can't spend more than $50 on sugary foods because we have a problem with obesity. The government can do that, but it doesn't stop there. What about when there's another pandemic? Because, they're planning one, I think, Bill Gates ran another simulation, I don't know, a month ago or something, of some other deadly pandemic. These people are not stopping, because since we're sleeping and we don't really care about what is really happening in our environment, they decided, well, we're going to go full steam ahead and kill everybody. So they run another pandemic simulation. So we do know that there's another pandemic coming around the corner. And we have seen with what happened in the past 3 years that everyone, well, most people, because I wasn't, and Fred wasn't, and Sugar D wasn't, and Dr. Toll wasn't, and most of the people that I associate myself with weren't, but most people, the general public at large, was misled by expert opinion. So let's say that these experts have decided that staying indoors, turn your yard, lock yourself in your house, and staying away from people is the best way to fight this new pandemic, which is 10 times more deadly and contagious than the coronavirus, right? So that's what they're saying, this new pandemic launch. So to make sure that you listen to what the experts says and what your government is saying, the government can now decide to program your CBDC so that all digital wallets in Barbados will only work within, let's say, a mile of your home address. So they can even now say, well, they did it during Corona anyway. Well, certainly here in Jamaica, when we had an outbreak in the parish of St. Catherine, what the government did was to, how do I put it? Spread out shopping time. So they'll say if your last name begins with, so from A to, let's say, D, you can go shopping. Like, this literally happened in Jamaica. From A to D, you can go shopping on Monday. From E to J, you can go shopping on Tuesday, and so on. This literally happened in Jamaica during the COVID pandemic. So the government can now say with CBDCs, okay, well, your last name begins with A, you can only go out on a Monday to shop. Your last name begins with Z, you can only go out on a Sunday to shop. And if you go out any other day that is not your allotted day, your digital wallet simply will not work. So they have done it before, it's just that they did not have the mechanism by which if someone disobeys that order, they could say, well, your money is not going to work. Because if my last name begins with M, and you're telling me I have to go out on Wednesday and I'm hungry and I need something on Monday, I'm gonna go out. How are you gonna know that I'm out there buying stuff? Because I can just go and say, well, my name is this, bring a false ID or whatever. I'll go to a supermarket that accepts cash and pay. But with this digital, with the CBDC that they're implementing, you will not be able to do that because they will just program your digital wallet so that if you go out on a Monday and try to use and try to buy anything, your money just will not work. So let's talk about the vaccine for a second because we saw the whole madness that went on with vaccine. So they now say, well, everybody has to get vaccinated because this new virus is, I don't know, deadly and it's killing people and we need to stop it. And, obviously it's going to be mRNA injections again because we see them now. Oh, the flu vaccine is mRNA, RSV is mRNA, everything now is mRNA. So all these new vaccines, obviously, will be on this mRNA platform that is really designed to kill people. Right? So with the CBDC, if the government find out that, well, on, 60% of the people in Barbados is not vaccinated against this new virus, then all the government has to do is all those people who have not taken the vaccine, they can just shut off your money. Your digital wallet will not work, or they can make it so that the people who are not vaccinated can only spend their money at certain times. So you can only go out on a Wednesday to shop. So you better make sure so you're shopping enough. When you go out on Wednesday, you buy enough food to last you until the next Wednesday when you are now allowed to go out and shop again. That's just an example. Or they can say, well, your money is not going to work at certain distances from your home because you are now a danger to society, so we are restricting your movement because you're unvaccinated and we don't want you to kill people by spreading the virus to them even though you don't have any virus, but whatever, right? Or they can say you can't buy alcohol or you can't buy airline tickets or you can't eat out at a restaurant or whatever, or you can't travel outside of your country. Your digital wallet will not work until you get vaccinated. Now, what about farmers? Right, because people need to because remember, most of us, the poor ones, we are self-employed. We're entrepreneurs. Not in the sense that we have a formal business where we have a business plan and we go to the bank and we get money and we inject. It's not like that. You plant grown provisions and you go to the local market and you sell it, or you go to a wholesale and you buy a bag of cheese tricks or some chocolate or sweets or whatever, and you walk on the street and you sell it back for a price, or you get some card from Digicel and you sell them back at a profit or something like that. So it is nothing formal in the sense that you have a established business and a location and address. It is generally informal, right? And so let's say, you have farmers selling their produce at the local market. They don't register with anybody. They don't have no formal business, anything. They're not paying tax to the government or anything like that, right? So the government can decide that, well, people who do not register with the government, you cannot either buy seeds at the local seed store to plant your cucumber or your callaloo or tomato or whatever, or you are not allowed to engage in any kind of farming activities because you need to be registered with the government. Otherwise, and no one will be able to transfer CBDCs to you or make any kind of payment or transaction with your wallet because, well, you're not registered with the government. They can do that. We know now that they're telling us to eat bugs and, I don't know, lab-grown meat, 3D printed meat. I think the largest 3D printing meat, I don't know what factory or whatever, what is in North Carolina. I don't know, 3D. These people are crazy. But anyway, they declare war on meat. We know that because, cows are farting and trying to blow up the planet with their farts. So we need to stop eating meat, and instead we need to eat lab-grown meat or bugs, to save the planet. So the government may say that, well, we realize that people are eating a lot of meat, and we are now trying to limit meat consumption to save the planet, right? So they can now limit your spending to say 8 ounces of red meat each week, right? And that is not a far-fetched scenario. People may think that these things sound crazy, but they can do that. If they're telling you, you can put it in Google right now as I'm speaking to you, scientists say to eat bugs to save the planet. And you will see articles popping up where they're telling you that, oh, well, bugs are healthy and they have healthy source of protein while saving the planet at the same time. They're doing that right now as I am speaking to you. Now, why should we, what is the solution to because you can't just say, well, there's a problem and you don't have any solution. What is the solution? The solution is that you have to use cash whenever you can. Keep cash in play. Now you may be wondering, well, why should I use cash? I mean, the digital system is more convenient, and I don't have to walk up and down with cash. And if I don't even have cash, I can use my credit card. Because there's that convenience. All right, let me give you a scenario so that you can understand really what's happening. And you can see why the banks have flourished. We have NCB in Jamaica, and they make billions of dollars in profit every year. And people wonder, where the hell are they getting this money from in profit? Like, how are they making this money? Let me show you how. So imagine you have a $500 banknote, right? I don't know if you have $500 notes in Barbados, but we do have $500 notes here in Jamaica. So you have a $500 note in your pocket, right? And you decide to use the $500 bill to buy lunch at a restaurant. Now, the owner of the restaurant, having collected the $500 bill from you, decides to use it to cover the cost of his laundry at the laundromat, right? Then the laundromat owner decides to get a haircut, goes to his barber, and pays for his haircut with the $500 note. After that, the barber decides, I need to get some groceries at the supermarket. And he goes to the supermarket and he pays for his groceries with the $500 bill. Now, the $500 bill will continue to have value even after it has been used in an unlimited number of transactions involving commerce and trade. So it will still be worth $500 as long as people keep using it in the cash format that it is in. So it will have service intended function for everyone who accepted it as a form of payment. And the banking system will not be aware of any of these transactions, and the banking system will not profit from any of these transactions. The restaurant owner will have received the full value of the $500. The laundromat owner will have received the full value of the $500, and the barber will have received the full value of the $500. All right. Suppose now you have the $500 in your bank account and you decide to use your debit or your credit card, right? So you go to the restaurant and you use your debit card or your credit card to pay for the meal. And the owner of the laundromat, the restaurant owner goes to the laundromat and uses his card to pay for his laundry and so on and so forth. No, what will happen is that every transaction, the bank applies a fee. I think it's 3%, right? So the bank will apply a 3% transaction fee when you go swipe your card in those portable machines or whatever that they have in the supermarket and elsewhere. So, 3% of the $500 would be about $15. So when you go to the restaurant and pay with your card for a meal that costs $500, the bank will get $15 out of that $500 because the bank charges a transaction fee for using its machine. Now, keep in mind that we started out with the restaurant owner who used the $500 to pay for his laundry, and then the owner of the laundry used it to pay his barber, and then the barber went to the supermarket, and so on. So let's assume that the $500 was used in about 50 different transactions that utilize electronic payment system. What this means is that the $500 would have depreciated and is now only worth $112 because the bank would have collected $388 in transaction fee. This is due to the fact that every transaction that was completed digitally, the banking system makes money off of these transactions by charging the merchant a fee to use their system for processing payments. So that is why it is very important that wherever and whenever you can, you should use cash, because the person that you're paying will get the full value of the cash that you're giving to them. But when you use your card, they do not get the full value because the bank will get a cut out of that money that you are paying that person. People, I know a lot of people may not be aware of this. Those machines that they're not just there out the bank, the bank didn't give it to the supermarket or wherever it is that you're buying your stuff out of the goodness of their heart. They have to pay, and it's not a fixed fee. If it was a flat fee, then it would have been, that would be more reasonable, but they charge you a percentage of the sale that you're making. So if you make $1 million for the day, the bank gets 3% of that $1 million. That is how they are able to line their pockets with billions of dollars in profit each year, because they are profiting off of us and our ignorance in how we conduct our everyday financial transactions. Now, I want to talk a little bit, I don't know if I have enough time, about what is the state of CBDC worldwide. So, I think as of May 2020, there were about 35 countries that were promoting or start seeking to develop central bank digital currencies. And now I think Bahamas has, what do you call it, the Bahamian Sand Dollar. They have their own CBDC now, and I think they're trying to roll that out island wide. Sweden started the e-krona or something like Corona,
E-commerce,
right?
e-commerce or something like that. Before you go on to that, before you go on to that, let's go for a pause for a cause and start a new recording as well, yeah? And a question,
Yeah, man, no
I
problem.
just sent you something there as well. One of the questions that I would like to ask that you could pick up on the next session. How easy would it be for people not like yourself, but people like us to start up our own banks? Because I'm listening very intently to what you're saying about this digital currency system. How easy would it be? And you can answer this in the next session for somebody like Mr. Corbin or somebody with a banking thing to start up their own bank where we can use cash and knock these people out the park. Keep in mind. Let's go for the pause for a cause. Keep that in mind. You could probably answer that when you come back. All right.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna go for a quick pause for a cause. I'm gonna return on the other side. We can do the chat with Nico and Mr.